everyone! Welcome to the channel dedicated to sharing the profound insights and wisdom of Andromedan contactee Alex Collier. If you're new here, you're in for a journey that expands your mind and consciousness, bringing you closer to understanding the messages from the fifth density Andromedan extraterrestrials. For those returning, we're grateful for your continued support. Before we dive into today's enlightening content, we have a small favor to ask. If you find value in the knowledge shared in this video, please consider hitting that like button, subscribing to our channel, and clicking the bell icon so you never miss an update. Your engagement helps us amplify Alex Collier's message, allowing us to reach a larger audience with these vital messages. We'd also love to hear from you, so please engage with the comments below. Whether it's a question, your thoughts, or even just an emoji for the sake of engagement, every comment counts. We read every single comment, and your feedback is incredibly valuable to us. Additionally, if you'd like to support us further, consider giving a super thanks tip by clicking the heart with the $sign. This small gesture allows us to continue bringing you more of Alex's messages, unfiltered and directly from his lifelong experiences with the Andromedans. Now sit back, relax, and enjoy today's video.
Good afternoon, good evening, good morning, and hopefully you should see me in my resplendent bearded glory. Here I've got a new Wi-Fi MoFi thing that gives us good broadband. I hope this should improve things. Good evening, good morning, Alex. How are you?
Hey, JP, I'm good.
So, what's happening in this particular webinar? What you got going?
What you said plus other stuff. You know, a lot of times there are things I want to talk about that I don't want to advertise. You know, for the purposes of not having any imperial entanglements. So, hey, folks, let's just get to it. Okay, there's a lot of things to talk about. If you've had a chance to look at the site, what we're going to do in this particular webinar, what I'm going to try to do, is I'm going to move from the outside down to the surface, and then us. If you've looked at all at the website, James was kind enough to put a couple of things that I asked him to put up on the site. One of them is from Henderson, Nevada. It is a battle that is taking place in the sky. This happened just a few days ago, a week ago, and something that occurred on the 27th of February over Milwaukee. And there were also other incidences that occurred at that particular time in different parts of Milwaukee. Now, it's well known that we have bases at the bottom of the Great Lakes. Maybe that's why this took place over Milwaukee, I don't really know. But as far as Nevada, let's talk about that. I want to explain what's happening here. And we have a lot to cover today. In the video, what you're seeing is a string of ships, smaller craft. And they're just lined up. And then all of a sudden, you start to see things happening, an exchange of energy, and the single smaller craft begin to leave because a bigger ship is coming in. Now there is a craft inside the Earth that is trying to leave. Now Nevada, as you know, virtually 80% of Nevada is controlled by the government. But that's where a lot of special projects are, black projects. And we also know that there's an alien base there. Specifically some Orion Greys, some Orion Reptilians. We also have Greys from Zeta Reticuli there, Zeta 1. And a lot of experimentation, a lot of building of craft, etc. Testing goes on there in this specific area. Now what's interesting is all of this is happening in fourth density and or in the ultraviolet range. Now, the exchange that you see, the fireworks, that is plasma and particle beam weapons. Now, the thing about plasma, many of the benevolent systems use plasma, as do the regressives. And what's interesting about plasma weapons is that it's all frequency. If they can nail the frequency of the object that they're after and match the plasma burst, the frequency of the plasma that's left their ship, their cannon, their weapon, and it matches perfectly with the frequency of the target, what will happen is it'll pass through the target and literally vaporize the craft, the target. Now, energy, real energy, such as soul energy, never disappears. What happens is that the materialism of the ship breaks down to its original form, which is photons and atoms. That's pretty much what you're seeing here. Now, someone or some group tried to leave Earth, and no one's leaving. There is no more wiggle room. There is no more worming. There is no more negotiating. There is no more tricking for the dark side to get into position to do anything other than surrender. And it doesn't appear that they have any intentions of surrendering. So what you're witnessing in that video is what's been going on around the asteroid belt, what's happening between Mars and the moon. And I told you this in the last webinar and in previous ones, and I believe that there's confirmation from other contactees that there's a shitstorm going on out there. Well, essentially what's happening is the noose is tightening. And this is going to be coming to a close relatively soon. I cannot give you a timeline because there isn't a timeline for these things. These things are fluid, okay? But what's interesting about this particular scenario is how it's affecting the surface of the planet and what we see from governments, from banking cartels, etc. So you have the regressive cabal, the alien cabal, finally getting their asses kicked. And I mean big time. They're getting their comeuppance. And, you know, this is probably in 50 years to 100 years too late. But nonetheless, it's happening now. They're done. They're done. So now what's happening is that the banking cabal and the Illuminati, they no longer have cover. And as you are aware, the surface governments are now pushing back against this group. Now, that's not to say that some governments like China don't have their own agenda. They do. They have their own agenda. They're going to do whatever they're going to do based on their mindset. But for the most part, everyone's really looking for some freedom here. They're looking to end the slavery of debt of humanity and of countries. Because countries don't exist without a population. And when the population is slaves, so is the government. And that's essentially what's been happening here, okay, on that particular level. So we have that going on. I want you to know that the asteroid belt, that the battle has moved way beyond the asteroid belt now. It is literally between the Mars and Moon. And it's live, it's hot, it is ongoing. Phobos, Cirrus, those two particular bases are toast. And what I mean by that is that the insides of those particular satellites have been turned to glass. And what I mean by that is whatever technology that was in there that was being used to harm, to enslave, is gone. It has been vaporized. The inside is glass. Okay, and that's how this is pursuing. So these are all really good things. These are all really good things. I also want you to know that the Navy for years has had a project called Rockside. And what Rockside is it was a program where they would build underground sea bases in rock bed for submarines. Well, many of these rock beds are hundreds of miles in size. I want you to know, as of 3 days ago, that benevolent light forces are now occupying and operating from some of those facilities, the U.S. Navy Rockside facilities on planet Earth. And they are operating from underneath the ocean. Some of these particular facilities are just 100 miles off our shore. So this is a very, very positive thing. Along with boots on the ground, we now have ships on the ground or under the water. So the noose is definitely tightening, and there's going to be some very serious fireworks. It's important to pay attention, especially since it's now moving into our atmosphere. And this is what it is. This is how it's going down. There is no other way for this not to happen now, because this group, this regressive group, they've had every opportunity to leave, to get out of here, to leave the Earth. They were going to be grabbed anyway. They weren't getting off scot-free because everyone's sick and tired of that bullshit, of what they have done to so many evolving civilizations in our galaxy and in other places. So that's coming to an end. And if you pay attention to the skies, not only will you probably see worldwide some of these things occurring in the atmosphere or just outside the atmosphere, especially at night, but we also have Nibiru's solar system passing through. Now, Nibiru is stalled behind our sun. And depending upon where you are on the planet, there are live pictures and pictures of the dwarf star sitting behind our sun. And here in North America, we have the Federal Aviation weather cams. Those are on 24/7. And people are pulling the pictures off of those sites. So there is a tremendous amount going on. Now, what the Nibiru role in this is, my understanding is that they are aligned with the benevolence. Now, I don't know what else to say other than the benevolence. I hear other speakers talking about super federations. Ladies and gentlemen, this is not the Super Bowl. Okay, they don't talk like this. The Galactic Confederation. Well, there may be something to that, but there is no super federation. Okay, that just doesn't exist. What you have are planetary systems that are aligned, an Orion Council, a Lyran Council. These are civilizations within their star constellations. Now, they may join other groups, but there is no super federation. And I specifically was told that. That's just not a reality. Okay, so, not that I want to pick on anybody, but, this is real. We got to keep this crap real of everything that's going on, because there is an enormous amount going on. And the last ones to know, the ones who have been kept in the dark the most, are we, the people of the planet. And we have got to move ourselves up. We have got to educate ourselves and start paying attention to what's going on, because the mainstream media is bought and paid for, and they're despicable. They're absolutely despicable. For example, are you aware that in the last year there have been 6 assassination attempts on Donald Trump? Have you heard anything about it? Not a thing. Are you aware that last August there was a plot to kidnap Donald Trump Jr.'s children? Have you heard anything about that? And that there was such concern that the Secret Service details were swapped and moved out, and even the president now has SEAL teams guarding him himself? Are you aware of this? No, of course not, because the damn media doesn't say a damn thing about it because they're full of shit. Are you aware that 3 weeks ago they busted a plot to assassinate the First Lady of the United States? No, you haven't been, because they're not saying anything. All they want to do is tear this country down, okay, and create division, divisiveness, hatred, race war, anything to tear it apart, because their paychecks come from the cabal. All you got to do is follow the money. So I encourage you to not listen to any of that shit, because that's all it is. It belongs in the outhouse. Oh my God. Okay, so and this is why, you know, and the whole intent of that is to keep everybody's vibration low, keep everybody in fear, keep everybody in confusion, and no one who listens to the news, the mainstream media, is empowered. There's no way you can be empowered unless you're twisted and you think you have to hate Republicans, you have to hate Democrats, you have to hate progressives or liberals or blacks and whites or Muslims and Christians. It is insanity. It is absolute insanity. And while all of this is going on the surface, we have military personnel, we have space fleet personnel, we have extraterrestrials from multiple star nations coming here to help us in the line of fire, trying to free us, and we can't see the forest from the trees. It is so frustrating to me. I don't even know what to say anymore. But you know, we have to figure this out. And part of it is you're going to have to go into your heart. You're going to have to go into your gut, and you're going to have to see what it feels like. And what I mean by that is you're going to have to start trusting your intuition. Okay, no more habits. Okay, don't turn on the TV just for noise because it's a habit. Put on some music. Do something else, okay, other than listening to that horse shit, because that's all it is, ladies and gentlemen. That's all it is. And it's not getting any better. It's only going to get worse in the near term, because the Cabal's stranglehold on humanity is faltering. They're losing control of humanity, and they're getting more and more desperate, and they will say and they will do anything to maintain control, because their umbrella of regressive technology is going away. It is being, every minute of every day, it is disintegrating. It is being taken out systematically by benevolent groups that are not necessarily here to rescue us, although that is absolutely part of the package. But they are after this group. This group has done absolutely horrific things to civilizations. And when we find out the true history of our planet and what this bunch have done to humanity for 10,000 years, you're going to be stunned. You're going to be stunned. And you're going to learn this. It's all going to come out. It's all in the cards. And it is soon, very, very soon, that this is all going to be happening. Oh, pardon me, I have a cold. There's some other things we should need to talk about. So let me see, Rockside, deep bed. some of these underwater bases were built to harbor as many as 6 submarines. They have been retrofitted with the assistance of the benevolence, and now they have a foothold. They have positioned themselves on the surface. So I can't even tell you how excited I am about that. Because now it's just a matter of time. It's literally just a matter of time before the Greys, the reptilians, many of this bunch, they're gone. They're going to be so out of here. And we need that. My God, we need a breath of fresh air here. I mean, because none of us know what it's like to truly live free. None of us know what our civilizations would be like, our societies would be like, if they weren't being manipulated with deceit and deception and lies and poverty and war. We don't know any of this because it's been a huge psyop the entire time civilization's been around since the sinking of Atlantis. It's just like, oh my God, and I was thinking about this the other day with Visayas' statement, what is to become of us? And to be totally self-confident and free, to unconditionally be responsible for oneself without being coerced by some higher authority. None of us know how to live that way. None of us do. I haven't got a clue. It's just, well, maybe a clue, but I've never done it. And I'm looking forward to figuring that part out because, that would be a huge leap in spiritual evolution for all of us, whether you're with the program or not. Being totally responsible for yourself, understanding that your actions have consequences, and not being able to blame anybody else, that's huge. That is, in fact, huge. Okay, so talked about that. Listen, Cornell University we've talked in the past about wormholes. And I've shared this information, 20, 25 years ago, regarding wormholes, how they were used as like superhighways, galactic highways between galaxies. And that many races would use them. Not all of them needed them. The more technologically evolved, they would need the wormholes. But many races do. We would need the wormholes, in fact. And how they would use those to go from galaxy to galaxy, or from point A to point B within a galaxy. Well, Cornell University has released proof, and what they're calling these things is not necessarily a galactic highway, but a magnetic bridge. And what they do is these bridges are now, according to them, they connect the galaxies together. Ta-da! Okay, so now we have physical proof that the wormholes and the galactic highways exist. Now, what's interesting about that is they're seeing the ones that still exist. They no longer see the remnants of the bridges or highways that have already broken apart because of the expansion of the universe. Now, what's interesting about that, this next part, is that the Hubble telescope, which is constantly being used to measure distances within the galaxies, within the universe. How far is the Andromedan galaxy from ours? And they have very specific measurements, and other galaxies around us as well. Well, in the last 10 years, all the measurements have changed. And they're stunned. They're absolutely stunned. And you can research this. They're absolutely stunned because the universe is expanding so quickly that they think that they have physics wrong. Well, let me explain to you what's happening. Well, some of you probably already know. But for those of you who don't know or even have an interest in this, as we have talked about, as many other speakers have talked about, third density is merging into fourth. We are ascending into another frequency. So we are going from third density, which is a spectrum of 72 frequencies, color, light, and sound, to fourth density, which is 123, I think it's 123 or 125 frequencies. Well, it's more expansive, okay? And each vibration, each dimension you go into is more and more expansive, which means they need more room, they need more space, because there's a whole lot more going on within that bandwidth, for lack of a better word. Well, that's what's happening. And that is what the Hubble telescope is picking up. Now, unfortunately, the scientists, they don't look at things with a spiritual connotation, at least at first. That's probably the last go-to for them. Even though quantum physics, those who are those quantum physicists, you know, they're coming around to the spirituality of the universe and of us, and to a something that we can akin to a creator. They're slowly but surely coming around to that. I don't know that astrophysicists and astronomers are actually there yet, but that is in fact what's happening, is that third density is beginning to implode and we are moving into fourth density, and it's going to be more expansive, but it's a gradual process. It's a gradual graduation, because when you take things from third into fourth in physicality, there are steps of adjustment, there are steps and periods of acclimation that have to occur, where DNA changes, where frequency adjustments change to all physicality, which is why sometimes you will have species that become extinct, but then other new ones appear out of nowhere. It's all a process. Remember, energy never disappears. It changes form, but it never disappears. It's always there. It cannot be destroyed. So you have to keep that in mind, okay? And that goes with us. That exactly goes with us. You know, some of us who will be crossing over, we may come back, but in a different physical form. It may be in another star nation. We may incarnate in another star nation and then come here to teach and to mentor. Anything is possible. There is unlimited possibilities to the awakening of the universe, okay? And this expansion will continue as long as the Great Spirit, Creator, whatever name you want to give it, is self-reflecting on what it is. As long as that occurs, there's going to be expansion, because nothing ever stays the same. Everything is constantly changing and evolving. There is never nothing going on, ever, anywhere. There's never nothing going on, okay? So there's this constant movement, and whether you want to or not, you're evolving. You don't have a choice. It's just more fun if you're consciously aware of it, because there's more empowerment to it, and you can participate in the changes. And at some point, once you figure out how energy and frequencies work and align that with your intent, you can actually start creating the things that you want. That's how this is supposed to work. So I'm told. Okay? So that's fascinating. Boy, we're covering a lot quickly here. The Hubble Now, along with this expansion of the universe, what's interesting is that scientists or astronomers are saying, well, maybe it's the expansion of dark energy that's pushing the galaxies away. According to M, that's simply not what it is. A dark energy is still energy. But where you have dark energy is a place where there has been no focused intent to create something. Now, Theseus talked about this years and years and years ago. In fact, it was in the 80s where he was sharing this with me, and I first talked about it in the 90s. God, it's been so long. About focused intent, and that in the universe where there's places where there's nothing, no one has focused any intent to create something. And if we're following quantum physics, we know that intention, that focus manifests physicality. We know this. And on this planet, it's one of the best kept secrets, apparently. So that's important to note. So there's a lot to digest, and I know it. I know there is. Now, here on the surface, there's a lot of chaos. And it looks like chaos. It smells like chaos. The mainstream media is telling us it's chaos. And they've always got somebody to blame for it, except the actual real culprits. And the reason that there's chaos, for the most part, if that's what you want to call it, or uncertainty, is because humanity has been living under a prison system, a slave system, a financial slave system for at least 100 years. At least in the West, 100 years. It's been longer than that in world history because of monarchies and the such. As these systems break down, no one knows what to replace them with, especially our governmental people and the administrators, because they have been doing as they were told forever. This administration, when it left, the next administration came in and they were trained to follow orders, to do it this way, and then to do it this way, and then the next generation, and the next generation. Well, that's been going on for a very, very long time. And now what's happening is this system that we've been living under, the Cabal, as they lose power, as their system is disintegrating, and it is, the administrators of our governments, of our societies, they don't know what to do because they have no idea how to think for themselves. Okay? They don't know how to do it because they were never allowed to do it. They were yes men, yes women, yes sir, no sir, yes ma'am, no ma'am. They didn't have to think for themselves. They had a script and all I had to do was follow it. And if you followed it, you were okay, you would get your pension and be damned with the rest of humanity, etc. Not that all of it was bad. But then but there's true freedom, and then there's the semblance of freedom. Ladies and gentlemen, for all of us, even the very, very wealthy, we have all been living under the semblance of freedom. We have not been living under true freedom. And we're going to have to learn how to do that because none of us know how to do that. And that is what's in fact coming. It's going to be baby steps. But as this rogue alien group, this regressive group, is pulled out of here or eliminated, everything that's been hidden, all of the scheming, conniving, treason, sedition, all of those things are going to come to the surface. And here in the United States, that's already begun. I don't know what's happening in a lot of other countries because one, the mainstream media doesn't really talk about it, and two, I refuse to even listen to the mainstream media because I know they're bought and paid for, and they're dark. They're absolutely dark. They have their own agenda, and it has nothing to do with the people, even though they like to hide behind, in this country, the United States, the First Amendment, freedom of the press. They like to hide behind that to spill their lies and tell their tales and wove their dastardly deeds to make everybody angry and everyone pissed off and everyone distrusting each other. Anyway, America has a lot of issues. Here in the United States, military tribunals are being formed. Let me say that again. Military tribunals are being formed. And that's going to be an issue. A lot of people are going to have a very hard time with that, especially, well, I said this a couple times in previous webinars, there is no statute of limitations on sedition and treason. Remember that, okay? Here in the United States, the highest levels of law enforcement, they've all gone rogue. Department of Justice, State Department, FBI, CIA, parts of the CIA have been rogue for 50 years. We're in a spot. We have a lot of things going on here in the States. And the media is doing everything it can to deflect from that by getting the population to be angry with each other, as opposed to everyone looking at the actual source of all the issue. And of course, that's the deep state, what we call the deep state, the cabal, okay? The global monetary system is changing, it's going to change very quickly. On March 26th, China introduces its Petro Yuan that is backed by gold, and it can be exchanged for gold. That's on March 26th. Shortly thereafter, a brand new SWIFT system is going to be implemented worldwide for at least 8 or 9, 10 countries. And that's a good thing because they are sick and tired of being manipulated and controlled by the central bank system that the Rothschilds own and have controlled forever. Sometime after that, as these countries leave the existing SWIFT system, now the SWIFT system is a financial transaction system that occurs internationally. Governments can use it 24/7. Private institutions, commercial institutions can only use the system Tuesday, Wednesdays, and Thursdays for international exchange. That system's been compromised for a very, very long time. And it's been controlled and manipulated. Thefts have occurred at a staggering scale. You just don't ever hear about it because, you know, from shark to shark, there's a professional courtesy that goes on. But as the SWIFT system goes away and everyone begins to move to this new system, what's going to happen is that these countries are going to reset their currencies, revalue their currencies. Even the United States has a plan to do this. I don't know how Trump is going to pull this off. If anybody can do it, it would be him. But I don't know how he's going to pull it off with everything that's going on here in the country. He'd have to nationalize the Fed. And that is a tsunami. That is a tornado of unscaled proportions. when he tries to do that. Okay? But eventually it's going to occur, and they're going to introduce a United States note, Treasury issued, gold backed. There's just so much going on. Cryptos, I know that there's a lot of movement back and forth, a lot of conversation back and forth about cryptos. Understand this. On the big picture, on the large scale, our civilization needs to move away from a monetary system. Cryptos just might be one of those steps to moving away from a monetary system. Okay? So, keep that in perspective. It just may be that. And it more than likely is. Because in the words of Phaseus, why do we have to pay to live on a planet we were born on? I mean, that will keep you up at nights if you continue to think about it. Okay? Because the other ones don't do that. The other civilizations, they don't do that. So we need to transition away from that. Okay? We need to come into alignment with everybody else on a consciousness level, on a spiritual evolution. We need to move from this monetary system because it's an enslaved system. We need to move from it. And cryptos is probably one of the steps in doing that. Whether it's short term or it's long term, it's still a step. For those of you who have piles of gold, that's great. That's awesome. But can you carry all of it to the grocery store? No, you can't. Can you eat it? No, you can't. Well, you could. My point is, at some point, we're going to be leaving a monetary system behind, whether it's our generation, the millennials, it's probably going to be the Gen X generation behind us, behind the millennials. They're probably going to be the ones, that generation, that is going to make the biggest leap here, because we will be clearly moving into fourth density. We'll be able to see it, touch it, experience it, live it. We will have a much more open society regarding extraterrestrial contact. Blockchain technology, which is going to be used for international exchange, will become more and more readily available and transparent and secure. But at some point, we will be transitioning past all of that to where the purpose of government is to ensure the survival and the safety of its citizens, which was its original intent anyway. It was never meant to become the master, ever. But it has become so for very different reasons. Creating a fear, suppression, people willing to abdicate their management of their government, to abdicate their free will, to surrender their rights and their free will for perceived freedom, which of course you don't get in any kind of a totalitarian system. There is no safety or security. None of that exists. So there's going to be a transition in how we think, how we see ourselves individually, and how we see ourselves as a collective race, as a collective society, civilization. And those things will become very real for us with mentoring, with other star nations that are just a little bit ahead of us, and then those who are further ahead of us, and they give us examples of how we can make these transitions. These things are all coming. And they're coming relatively soon. They really are. I mean, I get emails, what's taking so long? It doesn't appear nothing's happening. To those of you who send me emails, there appears to be nothing happening. Don't do that. Okay? Don't send me emails, say there's nothing happening, because that is just simply, you're the one who's not paying attention. Okay? I pay attention as much as I can. And there's just, wow, there is just so much going on. It's amazing. Now, as all of this is going on, people are spiritually evolving. They are waking up. Okay, DNA is being activated. Switches within our DNA in many people are being turned on, especially in young people. I mean, this is an amazing time to be alive. And I don't want to say that this is not for the faint of heart, but if you're not using your heart, if you are not in your heart making decisions, if you are not in your heart allowing your heart and your intuition to tell you, if you're not listening to how your body feels when you hear information and all you're trying to do is process it in your head, you're going to become very overwhelmed, because the mind isn't going to know how to process this, because the mind has been trained to be very structured. Okay, this is how things is, this is what their density is, and this is how everything's supposed to react. Well, those rules are over. Okay, the expansion of energy and frequencies is this now. It is not this. And your mind, you're going to have to, God, the English language is so limited. You are going to have to make a conscious decision when your mind goes into overwhelm to push everything down into the heart, into your gut, and listen to what your body tells you, to listen to what the frequency, to your soul has to say to you. It's constantly talking to us through our bodies. We just have to stop and listen. And the key to that is stopping all the damn chatter that's going on in our subconscious mind. You're going to have to figure that out, whether that's going in nature, going for a drive, going for a bike ride, go sitting out on the porch, grounding yourself to the planet, okay, just grounding your frequency so that you can get into a place of stillness, whatever it takes for you. You're going to have to do this, because you can't operate in a space of overwhelm for very long, because then you start screwing up. And then you do things that hurt other people, and you start screwing that up. So you have to maintain a space of calm, of resoluteness, a space of love, you know? And you're never going to find that outside of yourself. You're not. That has to come from within you, especially in these days that are coming, because everything's changing. Everything that we know is changing. It's falling apart. Other things are being put in its place or beginning to surface, to manifest, and we don't understand what they are. We don't see what it is because we don't understand the reason why things are falling apart. Again, whether it's the religions, the devil's here. This is it, Armageddon, the end of days, end of life on the planet. God's gonna finish everybody and only take the ones who are deserved, you know, somewhere. You, of course, are free to believe whatever spiritual principles you want. But you damn sure better be ready and be willing and to know that they are absolutely grounded in reality. Because if not, you have wasted all this time, all this energy, all this frequency into something that is a fable and is going to be a fable and is going to be nothing but a fable. What you do know is that you are soul. And your soul, your spark, your light comes from the Creator. That's where you start. That's where you start. You build that bridge, that connection. All that is. All you have to do is make the time. And all that is does in fact communicate and share love with you. You know, I could so easily get myself in a lot of trouble right here. And I have in the past. But you just might want to look at the idea that you are your own savior. You just might want to look at that idea. And if not, if that's wrong, that premise is wrong, well, if nothing else, you have so completely empowered yourself that you can walk with the Savior as an equal, as opposed to a follower. Because I don't believe that's what God wants. I don't believe that's what the Creator wants. I don't believe it wants followers. It wants equal participants, like minds that can create holistically, can be part of an organism that thrives and survives and expands. That model works. That model works. No matter where you put it, that model works. Everywhere. So you might want to redo some rethinking. Or not. Or not. We live in extraordinary times, folks. And I'm excited every day to find out what's changed. I'm not always prepared for what's changed, but I am in fact excited about what's changed. Let me see, I just want to make sure I've covered all my notes here. I think so. There are some folks who have been harassed by the military, microchips and the such. Most of that's been done by my labs. I want you to be aware that that will be ending imminently. That'll be ending imminently. That is no longer going to be allowed. That is an absolute violation of everyone's free will. And the intentions behind all of that have been dark and sinister. And the groups that have been manipulating and controlling this and orchestrating it, they are now on the run. So I want you to be aware of that, because I've had some folks who I've tried to help over the years who have reached out to me. I haven't been able to end whatever that it was going on with them. But I want you to know that the amount of intervention, direct intervention, is now fully on the surface and in the oceans. So many of those things are going to be straightened out imminently. Okay? These are all really good things. There are a lot of people who are scared about what's coming. And I get that, because you don't know. And for a lot of people, they feel real safe in a box because they feel like they can control what goes on in this little box, what they call their life. And they keep it real tight, real secure. They don't deviate much. And that's where they are. My condolences about that, because if you can't look forward, then what you're going to have to do is look back at your life and find out why you're afraid. of change, because change is coming. And if you're fearful of it, it has nothing to do with the present. It has to do with something that happened in your past. And you're going to have to resolve that issue with whatever that was that makes you afraid of the future, that you feel like you're only safe living in this little box. None of us have any idea what miracles, what magnificent, what incredible things can happen to us if we remain open to it, if we go with the flow, the spiritual flow of our lives. And that's listening to your heart, listening to your gut. It's profound. The change is profound. And the fears go away, the worries go away. The ability to have more compassion expands beyond what you even thought you knew. The things that you uncover about yourself are absolutely amazing. Some things you may not like, some things you will absolutely love. But that's all part of the homework, you know. Homework never ends when it comes to love. Whether it's self-love or love of humanity, love of a family, the homework never ends. It's constantly changing and evolving. And folks, you know, we have to go with it. This is the time. This is the time to trust, to get ourselves in alignment with that presence that is us. And you know it's there. You all know it's there. If you travel and you fly in your dreams and there in color you are a soul, that should give you some comfort to know that you always will exist. And you always have existed. This is not your first life. So you shouldn't limit your perspective to the box. There's so much more to you. Embrace your eternalness. Embrace the fact that you have this enormous opportunity to make change. As I have said in the past, as I was told by Morne and Phaseus, many of us have come back in time to right a terrible wrong. Maybe you're one of those who have come back in time. If that's the case, then why don't you start looking towards that future of where you were when you made the decision to come back, and allow that to unfold within you and empower you so that you know what to do here and now, considering the fact that you've already been through this. Okay? I'm just saying, maybe that will help work for you. I have faith in you. And if I'm the only one who's going to have faith in you, then I'm the only one who's going to have faith in you. You have got to have faith in yourself. I know that this is a very advanced group, and I am honored. It's an honor and a privilege to even have your attention. But I'm your best cheerleader, okay? You know, as much as I know, you know, I have my days. There are days where shit. I get the crap kicked out of me. I get hassled, I get harassed. You know, I'll have someone walk up to me who has seen my videos and call me a horrible name. You know, or they'll send me an email that's just like, oh my God. You know, but you gotta let it go. You gotta let it go. All you can do is bless them and hope that they discover their highest good, and you just, like water off a duck. You just have to try to keep moving on. And, and you stay focused on what it is that you want. What your intentions are. Because that's always the bottom line here. And most of you, if not all of you, in pursuing what you want, is for the benefit of humanity. So everybody wins, It's good stuff. It's good stuff. We have so much to be thankful for and so much to look forward to. And JP, I'm ready for some questions. I have no idea what time it is. Oh, it's 1 o'clock.
Yeah, absolutely spot on, perfect timings, Alex.
Excellent.
You just spoke for exactly an hour. Okay, so coming in, and you can hear and see me fine. Isn't this amazing? It's amazing what this tiny little box is. That big and little sim. Anyway, our first question is from William Pepper. Why do the crop circles tend to cluster around that one part of England, Wiltshire and stuff like that?
Well, simply put, because of all the granite and crystal that's underneath the island, or what we call England, Great Britain, Wales, etc. When somebody leaves a crop circle, it isn't just on the surface, it's a frequency. It is a coding that not only we see just the surface, what we don't see is the harmonics that actually enter the planet and then migrate, the frequencies that migrate throughout the rest of the planet. And the best amplification for that is, of course, crystal or quartz. Okay, so, and I've talked about this years ago, and I believe some other folks have talked about this as well. But that seems to be a very particular place that's very, very good for it. Plus, you also have the rulership of the planet in many ways is there, and it's a way to alter and shift that frequency by planting those crop circles in their backyard. In other words, it's the benevolent saying, look, we're going to put these anywhere we want. You can't do anything about it. All you can do is adjust to the fact that we're here and we're going to make the change. That's essentially what it is. That's the message for those guys. Okay? We just see the geometric shapes. We don't know the frequency of the information that's being shared with the planet.
From Mason Adams. Dear Alex, what do the Andromedans think of our art? Do they have painters, writers, poets, and presumably musicians in Andromeda or elsewhere? Many thanks.
They do, but that's not something that's ever been addressed. The only thing that's been addressed that they appear to be very enamored with is our ability to create music. And they're not the only ones either. Apparently, we have a real gift, which we don't fully appreciate yet, but we have a real gift of creating sound, of creating melodies and music, and just amazing stuff. They're in awe of that. But as far as the art, that's not been addressed. That's not been addressed at all. That's a good question, though. It's a very good question.
From Ricardo Lenoir. Lovely names today. Hello, Alex. Much love and respect. Do the Lyrans, stroke vegans, not vegans, vegans, still live in Lyra? I ask because of the Orion Wars.
Yes, they do. Yes, they do. Not everybody left, but many of the civilizations have gone back. That's been inhabited for millions of years. So, yeah. And there's no more wars over there. You know, The only skirmishes are now taking place out here in the boonies, along the end of the spiral arms of our galaxy. Well, right now the biggest one is us. We're the hot spot. We may be
there are these three others, aren't there? Or two others now.
I understand that those have been resolved. And right now it's just us. We're the last domino.
Fabulous.
It is.
Fabulous.
It
well,
is.
yeah,
Really good news.
that is very good news. From really? All right. From K. Alex, JP, James, thanks for everything you do. Lately, I've been dreaming about dreams that I feel I've dreamt before in the past. But this time I knew what was going to happen, so I changed my action in the dream, and the events changed. Does this have something to do with merging of realities, or what is going on?
Yes. Yes, it's timelines. That's excellent. That is outstanding work. You should document that and share it with everyone somehow. Maybe on the Facebook, on the tribute page on Facebook that James put up. I'm not on social media, folks. I know that there's an Alex Collier page or two on Facebook. Those are tribute pages. I'm not on social media. I don't want anything to do with social media. And I've said this 4 or 5 times over the last 2. That's what its intentions was all about. Twitter was funded by a donation from the NSA, and Facebook was created with a $500 million donation from the CIA. So that should tell you everything right there. But you, of course, do what you want. I have no part of that. But you should document what you shared just now, Kay, because I think a lot of other people are going through that as well. And it's an incredibly powerful tool when you find yourself in that place, because I do a lot of dream work myself. When the next time you do that and you change the dream, focus on something you want to manifest in your physical life. And you'll be amazed at how quickly it comes about. You'll never know where it's going to come from, but you've tapped into something truly amazing when you're in that space, because you're in your alpha and you can manifest things so much quicker because your subconscious is completely out of the way. That's really good work. Good job, Kay. Good job.
From Cliff Mosa. Alex, are the Andromedans concerned that the Earth, stroke humanity, will make the shift into 4D, but not jump into 5D after? Is it a done deal? In other words, that, if you go, we'll eventually get to 5D once the cycle comes around?
My understanding is that it's a done deal, that the Earth herself has already made that decision. Now, when that happens, what the steps of progression are, that I don't know. I don't know that I personally don't think I will still be in this physical body when the transition to 5th occurs of Earth. Because she's going to take as much of humanity with her as is feasible, all right? Now, that relationship with her, between her and humanity, has to be cooperative. We have to both agree to do these things together. And I don't know how much of humanity's spiritually evolved to even go there. I don't know. So we'll just have to see, We'll just have to see. But from my understanding is it's a done deal. That Earth herself at some point will be in 5D. It could be that civilization completely transforms. More and more people have a 3rd strand, maybe a 4th strand, and then we reincarnate back in as humans, but 3rd and 4th strand humanity. And that will help with the progression into 5th. I don't know if our current 2-strand DNA could actually exist for long in 5D because the frequency is so high. I would think that we would need at least a 3-strand or maybe even a 4-strand to acclimate completely to 5th density. Because now, now you're in the 200 plus frequency range. That's a lot for 2-strand DNA, especially with the shape our DNA's been in, with the pollutants and the fluoride, the poor food quality, etc. I don't know how many of us could actually make that transition. So it would have to be something where our children go to 3 strands, their children come in at 3, and then the 3 move to 4. So it could be several generations before that happens. Logically, that's what makes sense to me.
From Luca Pellegrini. Hello, Alex. Will the benevolence take care of George Soros?
There's a couple asteroids he'd look good on, I'll tell you that. Actually, no. Our politicians, our governments we gave them the power. We've given them the ability to do what they do. Those are going to be our issues as a humanity, as a civilian population, as a humanity, to deal with people like this. And we can do it. Humanity's getting to a point where we're all pretty fed up with all the bullshit. We really are. And we just have to stop allowing them to manipulate us to pick sides against each other. And because that's what's happening. And that's how the only reason they stay in power is because they keep fooling nearly half of one side of the population. And as long as they can keep us butting heads with each other, they remain in power. So once we wake up to that, fully to the game of the manipulation, their reign will end. Their reign of terror will end. And Soros is no different. Soros is actually an American citizen. And I understand that papers of sedition are being drafted as we speak against him. So that will be a very interesting development. And all of those type of things, when they come down, they will be not on civilian courts, those will be military tribunals. That's a whole nother game. And I wish him luck. I wish him luck. Not really, but betrayal always comes back to you. It always comes back to you. It always comes full circle when you betray. And I think it's about to come back full circle on him, and some others as well. So, okay, JP.
Here, Lauren's question of the week. Do the Zenitaeans have any other skin color besides blue? Are there darker and lighter shades of blue? Also, do they walk amongst any other sentient beings that are not humanoid? Insectoids, perhaps?
Okay, yes, they do have other colored skin. There's gold. There's a very light lavender color, and white. Well, the blue, I can't speak for the gold, but the blue, as they get older, eventually turns white. But it is white, okay? So I'm aware of 4. As far as other beings, the only exchange or opportunity that I've had is, other than the mothership, and everyone that I saw for my time there, they all appeared light blue. Some were white. Those were the elders. But there was an occasion where I was on board with Mornay and Phaseus, and there were other beings with them. But I could not see them directly because they were sixth density beings. And I could only make out some of their physical form from my peripheral. When I looked directly, I couldn't see them. But if I was looking in this direction, I could make out their physical form here. And I can't even tell you what they look like, other than the fact that their features appeared very angular. That's all I can tell you. And I knew they were there. They were there to observe my interaction with Mornay and Phaseus. But nothing more was ever said about it after that. But they were there for an entire contact, which I think lasted maybe 3 hours. You know, it was hard to know because my watch would stop when I wore one. Nothing electronic worked up there. But that's the only experience that I've had outside of just dealing with the Zenitaeans themselves, the light blue Zenitaeans. That's a great question, Lauren. You must sit up at night. You must sit up at night and try to figure out some questions for me.
Excellent, excellent. So this is from Michael Lamperman. Were there beings that focused their intent to create humans? Where and how did humans originate? I'm referring to the universe, not just Earth. Were there higher dimensional beings that brought forth the physical DNA necessary to create the being we now know as human?
That is an excellent question, and not even the A's know that answer. We weren't created in this galaxy. We were brought here from someplace else, just as the reptilians were. So I can't answer that question because I don't know the answer to it.
So lots of new names here today. It's really good. From Freddie Carroll. Alex, who were the race that took out the base in Nevada? Do you know? And what race usually does these jobs?
It has been suggested that it was a joint task force of Nibiru and Pleiadian. Yeah. I said the same thing. Like, what? They're actually working together? They've been at war with each other for quite some time. In the past, Atlantis was a war between them and the Nibiru and the Pleiadians. And that didn't go well at all. But apparently, they both were able to put aside whatever differences they have because of their animosity towards this enemy was so strong that they figured out a way to work together. At least that's what's been suggested. If it's true, that's incredibly encouraging, actually. It really is. Encouraging in the sense that they're both on the same page in assisting. We were able to facilitate our need, our situation was able to facilitate the truce between two other star nations that have been known to be somewhat hostile to each other for quite some time. So if I get any more on that, I'll let you know. That's a really good question. I wasn't going to go there. I wasn't at all going to go there. But we did. We did because you asked the question.
Okay. Question from Kay. How, it's about, I don't know, awkward question. How can we keep in touch with you, Alex, if your body leaves Earth? Or if you leave your body on Earth? That's more like it, isn't it?
Oh. Well, I don't know. I was going to go to Zenite and open up a Starbucks with a drive-through. You know, coffee and Romulan ale. I don't know. I don't know.
Maybe they don't even have licensing
The
laws.
best bet is to try to contact me through emails. I am getting through them. I am. I'm up to Christmas now. I know it's late, but I'm up to Christmas. Last Christmas. Oh, God.
All right, so here's another new name, Bia Gold. Hi, Alex, we love you. I believe you mentioned that the DNA from the Andromedans will break up because of pure breeding within the race. Would they be able to save their race with mixing their DNA with humans, since we have some of their DNA once we are on 5D?
You know what? That was suggested 20 years ago. That was indeed suggested 20 years ago. Now, in saying that, let me stress this. The females on this planet are the stronger sex. Now, I'm not talking about physically, as far as strength and endurance. Well, maybe some endurance, but as far as, actual physical strength. But as far as genetics, it's the women. If there was going to be any intermarriages or anything to that extent, it would be with the women. It would not be the males with the Andromedan females. Because our Y chromosome in males is deteriorating. It's breaking up as we speak. And that's an issue, but the feminine principle is built to last, and it's going to absolutely go the distance. So that's why nature chose women to propagate the race, because they're the stronger sex. So that's just what it is. That is just what it is. Whether any guys like it or not, it doesn't matter. That's what it is. Good question. We probably have time for one more.
Okay, this is from...
They run me out of here.
Yeah, I know that. She's probably waiting, camping outside the door. From Karen Moller. Hi, and thank you, Alex, JP, and James. We have all this weather anomaly right now all over the globe, and it's getting worse by the day. Is it because Nibiru is imminent ahead? This winter has had more snow than way over 70 years here, and even Egypt has had snow on the pyramids.
The answer is yes. The Earth's magnetic poles are flipping and moving all over the place. That only occurs when you have a very strong gravitational field interrupting it. The answer is yes. The answer is yes. And, ladies and gentlemen, if you have time, if you want, what you can do is you can go to YouTube. You can put in today's date and put Planet X, and you will get the newest, latest, greatest postings of not only the moons, but the planets and current pictures of the dwarf star sitting behind our sun. It's absolutely amazing that no one wants to talk about this. It's mind-boggling, and I mean, nobody even wants to hear it. You're a kook, you're a nut, you're a fruitcake, you're a flake when you talk about this stuff. Well, they said that in the 90s when we talked about the reptilians. No one's saying that anymore, are they? No, they're not. Okay, this thing is there. It comes through. And also don't forget that our entire solar system is passing across the galactic plane. And that is a very wide field of plasma, huge plasma clouds. That turns on everything. It changes everything. It exaggerates all the things that are physical. And so we're going through that as well. I mean, there's just so much going on. It's staggering. I gotta go. She's gonna knock on the door. I got you. All right, guys, I love you. I'll see you in 2 weeks, okay?
Thank you so much for watching today's video. If you found it insightful, please like the video, and if you haven't already, please subscribe to our channel and click the bell icon so you don't miss out on future updates. If you have any questions relating to today's video, please also leave them below. We read all the comments and take on board what our viewers have to say about Alex Collier's work. Remember, your support helps Alex Collier's knowledge and the messages from the Andromedans reach more people. If you'd like to support the channel even more, you can give us a super thanks tip by clicking the heart icon with a $sign. It really helps our team bring you more content. Also, be sure to visit alexcollier.org to sign up for our regular email newsletter. It's the best way to stay updated with the latest news, exclusive content, and upcoming live webinars. For the latest insights from Alex Collier, check out alexcollier.live. And if you want to explore over 250 past webinars, head over to alexcollier.tv. Thank you for being a part of this journey and supporting Alex Collier's work. We couldn't do this without you, and we're genuinely grateful for your support. Until next time, stay curious and keep exploring the vast mysteries of our universe. If you would like to see the Andromedan contactee Alex Collier live via video stream, we hold a live online seminar every Friday at 2 p.m. Eastern Time. For more information on upcoming live webinars, please visit alexcollier.org.